Hello and welcome to Glorified Gutsy Gaming. I'm Jake and today we are unboxing Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 2. Has Sun Wukong, Ingenga, Achilles, and Bloody Mary. Ages 9 and up, 2 to 4 players, 20 to 40 minutes, 1 battlefield, 4 miniatures, 124 cards from Restoration Games Mondo. Been waiting for this one for a long time, it feels like. In battle, there are no equals. Anyone, anywhere. Unmatched is a fast-paced game of tactical combat between unlikely opponents. Pick your favorite hero, choose a map, and use your hero's unique deck and abilities to win the day. You can mix up heroes and maps from any Unmatched set, face new challenges, and find fresh combos. Dozens of possibilities await, and more with every new set. Ingenga, warrior princess, peerless hunter, leader of men, and the mother of an entire nation. With Ingenga leading the charge, her archers will divide and conquer. She's got 2 sidekick archers. Achilles and Patroclus, brothers in arms and blessed by Hermes, together a formidable team. When Patroclus falls under Achilles' helm, it will surely be the day of your doom. Patroclus is his sidekick. Sun Wukong, ox, tortoise, phoenix, sly monkey, he and his army of clones will bewilder you with their taunting laughter as much as their infinite strikes. He's got 3 clone sidekicks. Bloody Mary, stare into the mirror, speak 3 times, and beware, she's closer than she appears. What was that, a stolen memory, or merely a trick of the light? What wonderful noise. We've got rules. Usually these are pretty much the same in all of them. I was pretty close with pronunciation. Special rules for this set. I went ahead and wanted to just do this part because this is volume 2 and there's tons of sets for this out at this point. So for Sun Wukong, do not place any clones, which are his sidekicks, at the start of the game. At the start of your turn, you may take 1 damage to summon a clone in an empty space adjacent to him. Summoning a token uses the following rules. If you have a token off the board, place 1 of those on the empty space. If all of your clone tokens are on the board, take 1 and place it on an empty space adjacent to you. All of his cards may be played by him or his clones. Ingenga, archers. The archers have 2 health. Their tokens have 1 side showing them at full health and 1 side at 1 health. They start the game at full health. Whenever Ingenga takes damage, you may apply none, some, or all of that damage to 1 or more of her archers in her zone. You may not apply more damage to an archer than their current health. Seems pretty standard. Okay. Bonus attacks. Each hero in this set has cards with a bonus attack that allows the fighter to make a second attack with 1 attack action. When you play a card with a bonus attack, resolve the main attack as normal. The bonus attack is triggered by the after combat effect of the first attack. If that effect is cancelled by feint, for example, the bonus attack does not occur. If the bonus attack triggers, resolve that attack like a normal attack between the same attacker and defender as if the attacker played the bonus attack as a new attack card. The bonus attack has a new name, value, and effect. The boost value is the same. The bonus attack targets the same defender even if they are no longer a valid target. If the defender is defeated during the first attack, there is no bonus attack. Okay, so nothing there. So we've got our game board. It is double-sided. This is Hand Gardens. I'm imagining this is for Wukong. And this is also Hand Gardens. This is just a different template for colors and things. I think it's supposed to help people that are colorblind, maybe. We've got our health dials. These pieces for the health dials. And we've got our mini. Can you focus? Focus. So this is Bloody Mary, but it's not coming into focus. So double-sided, pretty cool. See, it looks a little better from a little distance, but so this is Wukong. Yanega with her bow and arrow. And Achilles with a spear that is a little bent. We've got sidekicks. They're just tokens. You can see the archer has a 2 here and then nothing on the other side, so it's just health. More pieces for that. We'll go ahead and look through the decks. This is for Wukong. He's a melee character with move 2. At the start of your turn, you may take 1 damage to summon a clone in an empty space adjacent to him. Do not start with any clones on the board. For any Golden Chainmail. During combat, any combat damage you take is dealt to the opposing fighter instead. That's pretty cool. It's a good defense. Any 2 for each other friendly fighter adjacent to the opposing fighter, increase the value of this card by 1. After combat, gain an action. So that's when having clones would come in handy. Just 3 of those. A 0 defense for any. During combat, prevent all combat damage. After combat, you may place your fighter in any space. That's pretty nice too. A scheme card. Recover 1 health for each clone on the board. That's pretty good. A 5 defense. During combat, your opponent may boost their attack. That's not great. A 7 attack Ox Form. This card's effect cannot be cancelled. During combat, if your opponent played a card, they may boost it. 2 attack or defense. Take an Ox Form, Tortoise Form, or Phoenix Form from your discard pile and return it to your hand. This one was the Ox Form. That one was the Phoenix Form. and this one was the tortoise form. So those must be some of the best cards, I assume. 3 attack. Taunting Laughter. Immediately, your opponent may discard 1 card from their hand. If they don't, ignore their card's value. That's pretty great. Any attack 0. After combat, if your opponent played a defense card, activate Trick to You, and Trick to You is worth 4. So 0 or 4. Another scheme card. Look at an opponent's hand and choose a card. Put that card on the bottom of their deck. You each draw 1 card. Okay. 2 attack or defense. After combat, if Wukong played this card, summon a clone in Wukong's space, then place Wukong in a space in his zone. So you can move and swap. 3 attack or defense. Deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to your fighter. So there was no feints or any cards that we normally see in that deck. I wonder if they're all 100% unique. Up next we've got Omega. She is ranged with movement of 2. If you would take damage, you may assign any amount of that damage to 1 or more archers in her zone instead, which we talked about in the rules. 3 attack or defense. Move up to 5 spaces. She may move through opposing fighters, then deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter she moved through. That's pretty cool. 3 attack or defense for her. During combat, for each zone the opposing fighter is in, increase the value of this card by 1. That's pretty cool. Some cool stuff in this set. Yenega 3 defense. Immediately, your opponent may discard a card if they don't return a defeated archer to a space in your zone. Yenega attack or defense of 2. After combat, if the opposing fighter is adjacent to Yenega, deal 2 damage to that fighter. Scheme card, gain 2 actions. Pretty awesome. Another scheme card. Move each of your fighters up to 2 spaces. Each of your fighters recovers 1 health. Draw 1 card. Pretty awesome. 3 attack. After combat, volley. So there's the first attack, and then there's a second attack of the same strength. Two attack or defense for the archer only. During combat, if your fighter is not in Yenega's zone, the value of this card is 4 instead. Pretty good. Archer, 1 attack or defense. After combat, move the opposing fighter up to 4 spaces. Your opponent discards 1 card. 3 attack for any. Immediately, you may return a defeated archer to a space in the opposing fighter's zone. If you do, that archer is now the attacker. If you don't, gain 1 action. That's pretty useful. Any attack or defense for 3 during combat. If your fighter started this turn in a different space, this card's value is 5 instead. I think we've seen that one before. That kind of card. 4 attack or defense for any. After combat, if you won the combat, choose one of the fighters in the combat and move them up to 2 spaces. We might have seen a couple of those before. Bloody Mary, melee character, movement of 3, so moving farther than the other 2 so far. At the start of your turn, if you have exactly 3 cards in hand, gain 1 action. That's a play on the 3. Oh, I see a lot of attacks. Alright. So an attack of 3, and then following the special rules from the book. There's a second attack. If your opponent played a card against your attack, this attack's value is that card's printed value. So there's a second attack that could be quite good, assuming you did okay and won the combat. An attack of 3 for Bloody Mary. Speak 3 times. During combat, if this is your third action this turn, the value of this card is 7 instead. That's very strong. A 1 attack. During combat, you may boost this attack. After combat, if this is your third action this turn, recover 3 health. So getting that third action seems very helpful. 3 attack or defense. During combat, you may increase or decrease the value of this card by 1. After combat, if the value of this card matches your opponent's card, draw 1 card and the opposing fighter takes 2 damage. So that's what you want to do. A 0 defense. During combat, the value of this card is equal to the printed value of your opponent's card. I think Wukong had a similar card. Scheme card. Look at the opponent's hand. Look at an opponent's hand and choose a card. Your opponent may discard it. If they don't, their hero takes damage equal to the boost value. 2 attack or defense. After a combat, you may place Bloody Mary in an empty space adjacent to an opposing fighter. 3 defense. After combat, draw 1 card. 4 attack or defense. After combat, choose one of the fighters in the combat and move them up to 4 spaces. 2 attack or defense. That's a feint. That's one we normally see. Cancel all effects on your opponent's card. 3 attack or defense. During combat, if Bloody Mary shares no zones with the space she started in this turn, this card's value is 6 instead. Scheme card. Move Bloody Mary up to 1 space, draw 1 card, gain 1 action. 1 attack. During combat, your opponent discards 1 random card, add its boost value to this card's value. After combat, if this is your third action, draw 1 card. That deck's a little more normal compared to the ones we've seen before. And the last one, we have Achilles. Melee character with movement of 2, so Bloody Mary has the most in this set. When Patroclus is defeated, discard 2 random cards. While Patroclus is defeated, add +2 to the value of all Achilles attacks. If Achilles wins the combat, draw a card. 4 defense. After combat, if you lost the combat, your opponent gains 1 action. That's not great. Scheme card, deal 2 damage to an opposing fighter in Achilles' zone. 1 attack, any. After combat, there's a second attack worth 3. 2 defense for Achilles. Immediately, if Patroclus is not defeated, Achilles may swap spaces with him. If he does, Patroclus is now the defender. Patroclus attack of 3. After combat, deal 2 damage to both fighters in the combat. So you're trying to kill Patroclus. Attack 4, any. After combat, if Patroclus is not defeated, gain 1 action. Alright, maybe not. 3 attack or defense for any. After combat, move each of your fighters up to 3 spaces. They may move through opposing fighters. 2 attack or defense for any. After combat, choose a card in your discard pile and return it to your hand. Like those. 3 attack or defense for any. After combat, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to your fighter. 4 attack or defense any. After combat, if you won the combat, choose one of the fighters in the combat and move them up to 2 spaces. We've seen that one before. 2 attack or defense for any. It's feint, just like the other one. Cancel all the effects on your opponent's card. Alright, that is all the characters and everything written on the box. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.